Camera Basics Number 1, Aperture. The first thing to consider when taking photographs with a digital camera is the effect that the aperture can have on your pictures. How will the photograph finish change depending on the aperture is widened or narrowed? In this article, we study the effects of varying apertures on depth of field by comparing several examples and learn about the concept of f-stops. Reported by Tomoko Suzuki. The aperture controls the amount of light entering the lens points to note the larger the aperture, i.e. the smaller the f number, the larger the bokeh. The smaller the aperture, i.e. the larger the f number, the larger the area in focus, depth of field. The amount of light that enters the sensor can be controlled by widening, narrowing the aperture. Modifying the range of area in focus by adjusting the aperture. When the aperture is widened, the f number decreases. The in-focus area of the image decreases, and the bokeh gets more prominent, or larger. Conversely, when the aperture is narrowed, the f number increases. The in-focus image area increases and the bokeh becomes less obvious. Concept 1, Depth of field. The bokeh also gets more prominent the closer the focusing distance. The range of focus, how much of the image is in focus, is known as the depth of field. When this range is small, it is known as a shallow depth of field. Likewise, when the range is large, this is a deep depth of field. As a ratio, the distance from the focus position to the foreground depth of field to the distance from the focus position to the background depth of field, the focal ratio is said to be 1:2 foreground, background. Concept 2, the relationship between aperture and f-stops. Useful fact, maximum aperture differs between lenses. There are zoom lenses with a range of f numbers given as f3.5 to 5.6. These are known as variable aperture zoom lenses, where the aperture changes with the focal length. In the case of the EF24-105 mm f3.5 to 5.6 is STM, the aperture f number at the wide angle end 24 mm is f3.5 and the aperture at the telephoto end 105 mm is f5.6. Lenses in which the aperture does not change even when the focal length changes are known as fixed aperture zoom lenses. A maximum aperture wide angle end, B maximum aperture telephoto end.